This is the minor side of life. And now, Rob Sternberg.
Thank you, Pete, and we're so glad you're with us here on the minor side. This is where we talk candidly about the business and promotional aspect of minor league sports. Each episode you'll hear from a different guest who's either worked in a minor league office or played or performed on the minor league stage. We talk about how they got started, what they've learned along the way, and of course some opinions and personal stories as well. If you've worked in minor league sports or wanted to know what it's like, then this is the show for you. For me, though, from the Texas League and the Eastern League to the PCL and now the International League, I'll bring almost a decade of minor league baseball stories and experience to the table, and very much looking forward to getting into this one here today. If you're listening to this as it is originally released, thank you so much for your support. A reminder that this episode is a part of a bigger drop. Drop. And I still hate that fucking term. Maybe I'll just say release, but I don't know. I guess I'm trying to be relatable. There goes that. Anyway, and we definitely do hope you head over to minorside.com to check out the rest. It's available over there, and wherever you listen to your podcast, you could just search Minor Side and check out the rest. On this episode, though, we will talk to Todd Parnell, but of course, most folks know him simply as Parney. The first time I saw Parney was either at the Eastern League meetings in 2012 or the promo seminar a few years later in Oklahoma City. Either way, you could tell from whether he was across the room or up on stage that he was just simply somebody with a ton of charisma. And of course, famous for his Parney Pants, and we'll get into that. But the gimmick looks real and looks fun, but to me sort of masks the genius, if you will, of Todd Parnell, sort of like a don't let the packaging fool you sort of deal. But we'll bring him on now. And Parney, you began your career in minor league baseball about 30 years ago and spent the majority of it in Reading, or at the helm in Kannapolis, Altoona, and then Richmond. Of course, folks, you've won a ton of awards and printed money at all those stops, I'm sure, and are so well known for minor league baseball promotions and really your gift of gab, I guess. You host the Around the Horn at the promo seminar year after year. And of course, he's had a hand in a lot of the promotions and marketing we see all around minor league baseball. A lot of the concepts come from Parney. We hope to get into all that and more. Parney, it is great to talk to you. Tell me, to start off here, what did we pull you away from this afternoon to have you here?
Well, one of the great things, thanks for having me too, Rob, but one of the great things about this business after 30 years is every day is interesting, every day is different. Even though the shell of the day might be the same, there's all kinds of things that happen. So there's a lot of game activities. I'm looking outside my window right now, and the staff's having the game day meeting for tonight's game and tomorrow's game as well, because we have a bunch of appearances that we have to do tomorrow in the community, and all of our, not all, but most of our staff will be spread out all over the region. So just a lot of activity, a lot of fun, but I live for this stuff. It's I feel like why I was put on this earth, and I'm really excited about talking to you about it.
And we're obviously very excited to have you on, and I'm talking about me, of course, and all of our listeners, though, really from coast to coast and hell, even worldwide, as we take a walk on the minor side with you this afternoon. Basically, a sort of top-line view here. I want to know how you got started and really ascended to where you are now, but also some opinions on how the industry has developed and changed over the course of the decades that you've spent in the industry, and of course some of your stories along the way. I guess at this point, about 30 years ago, you were first hired by Chuck Domino, who I'm sure we'll talk about a lot with you. Chuck, of course, has received just about every award eligible from minor league baseball and Baseball America. He's got interest in a number of teams, both outright and through consulting. But way back when, before most, if not all of that, he hired you in Reading. And as you said, you weren't actually the first choice for that job. You wound up being hired for it, though. Tell me about the relationship you and Chuck have. Sort of explain the dynamic you guys share. And while we're at it, whatever happened to the first choice?
Well, the number one choice actually got the job, and he was driving from I think it was Wichita to Reading and changed his mind and turned around. And Chucky spent about 3 days trying to find him. This was 1990, so there were no cell phones. There were no instant ways to hook up with people. You had to, call payphones and stuff like that, which probably blows the mind of younger people listening right now. They probably don't even understand what that means, but or what a payphone is. But once he found it, the guy's name was Marty Owens, and I always say that I owe my career to Marty Owens, because if he hadn't have turned around and changed his mind, I wouldn't have been with Chuck Domino and gotten my start in Reading, Pennsylvania. And that was really the foundational years of my career, working side by side with Chuck and so many other people that have gone on to great success. I don't want to exclude anybody, but Scott Hunsaker certainly one of those people. In Reading, he was actually my intern, and now he's been the long-time successful general manager for the Reading Fighting Phils. So, that moment, even though I didn't have anything to do with it, was a big moment. And then, just the relationship with Chuck is a lot like a brother relationship. We don't agree on everything, and we bicker and fight with each other internally sometimes, but the love's always there. And I don't know if he's learned anything from me, honestly, but certainly I've learned a lot from him relative in the beginning. In Reading, I learned a ton about promotions. His personality, unlike mine, doesn't really show it. But he was one of the founding fathers of the crazy minor league baseball promotions that we're known for now, and learned a lot of that from him. Learned a lot about promoting the promotions. You can have promotions all day long, but if you don't find positive ways to promote them, and that's an ever-changing world now with social media. But if you don't promote, the promotions are not going to work. And then just community and the way that under Chuck's leadership, the Reading Fighting Phils became, a staple in the community in Reading, and of course, everywhere I've been since then, we've tried to make community our focal point and become a 12-month-a-year organization, and not just the 5-month of summer baseball team. And that's the starting points of all those things I learned from Chucky. And so that's certainly been a relationship through the years that has been important to me, both personally and professionally.
Now, you talk about the sort of opposites in regards to outward personalities. In terms of being front and center, though, tell me how that came about. Like, I know even in Reading now, Scott has been the on-field MC. How does it come about that the GM, I guess, is the on-field MC, and why has it lasted this long? I think I sort of get it, but at the same time, it seems on the surface, though, that someone else in the organization's hierarchy might be better suited for the role. But kind of talk to me about your public persona a little bit, but even as it relates to being such an active member of the show, so to speak, and you're on the field so much, why is it so important?
Well, I mean, that was Chucky way back in the beginning. I think he figured it out pretty early that that I had a knack for being on stage, and I had a knack and a comfort level for being out in public. And at that point in his career, Chuck really didn't. So we kind of mix matched our way through the Reading years. Where he would handle the stuff off stage, and I would handle the stuff on stage, and it became a pretty good yin and yang. So that's how it all started. And then it's just something that has grown through the years. I mean, I do have very much a comfort level, in front of a camera or on a radio or in front of a group of 500 people. I mean, you mentioned the first time you ever saw me at a minor league baseball function. I'm pretty sure I probably had a beer or a cocktail in my hand while I was giving a speech in front of people. It's just a normal day of life for me, and part of the persona that I try to convey is one of approachability, accessibility, and comfort. So, people think that I go up on stage with a Bud Light in my hand because I want to drink a Bud Light. No, it's because uh, for a lot of people, maybe not everybody, but for a lot of people, that breaks down a little bit of a wall and makes me more of a normal person that enables them to maybe listen a little bit more and connect to me. I think connectivity is such an important thing. You really have to find in life, and this is a baseball philosophy, this is just a life philosophy, ways to connect to people in ways that are really, really real and really, really personal. And if you can do that a bunch of times, your network will just grow and grow. So, that's something that's been really important to me. I really like it. The whole pants thing now has grown into a phenomena that I never would have guessed over the course of the last maybe 10 years, to the point where I can't even go out in public in Richmond, Virginia, not wearing a pair of quote unquote Parney Pants, or people will act disappointed. And that's just something that I find a lot of humor. Tanya probably doesn't like it that much because she can't even go out to dinner with her man wearing a pair of blue jeans anymore. But I think it's just all part of it, right? Like everybody's got a brand, everybody's got an image, and you just got to roll with it. One of the things you said earlier that I appreciated you saying very much because it's something um, I wouldn't say that I struggle with, but it's something that I'm aware of. Is sometimes I do like it when people see beyond the pants and they see beyond the gregarious personality and the quote larger than life unquote being. I like it when people understand that there's method to my madness and that there's some intelligence in there somewhere. Even though I play up, the whole little country boy from North Carolina thing. I like it when people recognize that there's a lot of passion for this industry. There's even more passion for people. At this part of my career, I'm not really as focused on. I mean, I love it, but I'm not really as focused on having 9,560 people here tonight. Although I wish that would be the case, and I would hope that would be the case. But the personal growth of my teammates is really, 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 really important. And someday down the future, I hope that a guy like Ben Rothrock or Anthony Opperman or some of the many other talented people working here will be able to be on a show like yours and talk about me like I talk about Chuck Domino. The fact that I want to really, really matter to the growth of the people that I really care about here, and the care that I have for these people is really, really real.
All good shit. It's an industry where we're together so often, and you almost quickly become fast family with coworkers, even though that's sort of a distant word, coworkers. For me, I'm in my fourth organization in a lot of ways where I may not always fit in like an old shoe or something like that right away, even at all, I guess. You do sort of find your way and fall in with the family somewhere at the end of the day. But that camaraderie is always there. And I guess with camaraderie in mind, I want to sort of switch gears a little bit here, but I do eventually want to get back to your sort of management style in the office, though. For now, you mentioned the promo seminar, obviously being rebranded, the Innovator Summit this year in El Paso, and of course you host the Around the Horns with said beer in your hand and all that. But I do remember hearing a bit about the first one or thereabout. But I was curious, why of all the places was the first promo seminar in Tijuana, Mexico?
We can't talk about that. That's classified information for us old guys. It was actually in El Paso, but I think some of it might have occurred in Tijuana, but it was headquartered in El Paso. And yeah, we'll be going back there in September.
Right. So I guess my real question is, how did the first meeting come about? But tell me about the early days of those meetings anyway.
The early days of the promo seminar, Jim Paul was really the mastermind of it. Chucky took me to the one that you're referring to. Just sitting here, I haven't had time to really think about it for a while, but some of the names that pop into my head right now are really special. And it was really just old school. I mean, just a bunch of, at that point, baseball wasn't diversified at all as far as male, female. And it was like probably 150 people in a room, probably 140 of them were guys, maybe even more than that. And just sitting around having presentations. I remember that I remember that people had to tell a joke before they started. And some of them probably weren't probably weren't jokes you could tell today. But it was really an interesting time and a fun time. And one of the great things, Rob, that I enjoy about my job is that you can be sitting in your office, and one of baseball's all-time greats, like Will Clark, would just walk into your office and look at you and maybe even give you a one-finger salute, and that just happened to me.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. Which finger was it?
But the old days were fun. But you know what? The current time's fun too. I mean, I think minor league baseball hasn't changed at all from 1990 when it comes to one thing, and that is we have to be fun for everybody.
I guess to a degree, in some scale, we're getting at societal issues, not the heavy shit so much, and more so what people find fun and funny is subjective. Chris Dunham in our office tells us pretty much in jest, we need to have a responsible amount of fun. Well, somewhat of a perfect segue into that question is, what is a responsible amount of fun? But really, it's easy to go too far with a certain gimmick or a certain promotion. It could almost hinder your creativity to a degree. Obviously, so important to promotions and marketing is creativity. Talk about that a little bit and your philosophy in that regard.
Well, I think you just try to get better every day, and you try to improve every day, and you're certainly going to make mistakes. We've made them, but I'm a firm believer from a marketing and promotion standpoint that a shot missed or a shot not taken is a shot missed, and I think you just got to throw as much stuff on the wall as you can, and as long as you're being aware and sensitive, and there's obviously certain things that are wrong, and you have to make sure that that you don't cross that line. Now there's some cases promotionally where we have upset people, and but I don't think we've done anything quote unquote wrong. Like, for example, in Montgomery last year we had Millennial Night. Now the cause of that was to put a tongue in a cheek and to have a little fun with people that don't like getting made fun of. And we did, and on social media blew up, and a lot of it was negative, and then USA Today got a hold of it. But at the end of the day, the people that came to the ballpark really had a great time. Our players had a great time with it, and guess what? The players they're almost all millennials, and them having a good time with it really helped the cause of the promotion being popular and successful. And I guess that's my point. Like, we're not sending a guy to the moon here. We're not finding the cause for cancer here. We are every single day of our lives. We get to drive into a tunnel at a minor league ballpark, and we get to work. And we are, in my opinion, after 30 years, amongst the most luckiest people in the world. Tonight there's going to be 7,500 or so people that buy a ticket to come to see the Richmond Flying Squirrels play, and we get to host them, and we get to put smiles on their face. We get to spend 3 hours or so. Although the way we're playing lately, it might be 3.5 hours. But we get to be the people that make them happy. And I just think that that's so special. And so I don't think we should be taken very seriously, with our promotions, because our promotions are meant to be fun. And, but on the other hand, I'm talking against myself here for a second as I ramble, because we also do have a platform where we can approach serious issues. Like, for example, here in Richmond, we're hosting the Ask Foundation, ASK, and the Ask Foundation is a foundation that assists kids with cancer and their families. And we're able to put those families and those kids on center stage, and we're able to celebrate them, and we're able to, talk about the work that they do, and really lift these kids that are fighting cancer up. And so I think that the platform, while not to be taken seriously from a promotional standpoint all the time, the platform is really powerful. And we can reach a lot of people with one hit of the button. And both of those things are things that we have fun with, but there's also things that we take very seriously.
And you touch on a couple of things there. Hopefully, we can get to them all. But I think the best example of what you're talking about, a sort of meld of outrageous promotion and community contribution, is something I had a question about anyway. And that's the human hot dog in 2017. The human hot dog. And I want you to explain this because I don't quite understand the whole deal anyway. But it seems like you dressed as a hot dog. And I don't know. Tell me about it. And what did it consist of, I guess?
Well, if you're talking about the one that I think you're talking about, there was a local foundation in town, the Cameron Gallagher Foundation, for which I wear a bracelet every day. Cameron was a 16-year-old daughter of a friend of mine, Dave and Grace Gallagher, and she passed away running a half marathon in Virginia Beach. And when she passed away, her parents revealed that she had been struggling with teenage depression, and that when they cleaned out her room, they found a bunch of notes that she had wanted to start a foundation that dealt with teenage depression, and she wanted kids to speak up and not to hurt. And so the foundation is called the Cameron Gallagher Speak Up Foundation, and they do these 5Ks all across the country now. And they asked me to raise money for them, and if I raised a certain amount of money, they would put me a home plate after the game, and Dave Gallagher himself, the father of Cameron, would pour 2 pounds of ketchup, 2 pounds of mustard, and 2 pounds of relish all over my body. Now that it was funny, it was a great visual, and it was impactful. And to me, that's victory, victory, victory. It got talking. It got more exposure for Cameron's foundation. It was fun. It made the Gallagher family laugh, and it was a success. Sorry, Thrill, you all right? Okay. Will Clark just said hello to you.
Oh wow! Tell him hello, and obviously congrats on a hell of a goddamn career. But in regards to this human hot dog deal, and Will could chime in if he wants. It's really a great example of tying everything you're talking about into one promotion, one night. But in regards to the condiments, do you like those condiments, or how did that go over?
That was the thing about that is you were peeling dried up mustard from your inner ear for probably about a week, and I could the ketchup was okay, the relish was okay. I couldn't get the smell of the mustard out of my nose for some reason. But I've never been afraid to do anything like that. When I was in Altoona, we raised $25,000 for Easter seals one time, and I had to sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" at the end of the fundraiser, wearing nothing but a baby Huey diaper on the on deck circle. And fortunately, that was about 20 years ago, so I wasn't carrying the baggage that I'm carrying today. So I wouldn't want to do that today. That wouldn't be fair to the seeing public. But I remember that being a lot of fun, and people just laughing. I'm okay with people laughing at me. I mean, every other game here in Richmond, because my body can't take the toll anymore. But Anthony Opperman, our very, 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 very talented promotions director, has me out in the outfield with the big fish net, and we shoot T-shirts from the top of the stands, which they go up very, very high. And then my charge is to catch the T-shirts in the fishing net. And what it basically becomes is a grown man flopping around the outfield like a fish out of water. And people laugh their ends off, and they're laughing at me, and that's okay. So the crazier the better. The more fun people can make of me, the better. And the more people laugh, the better. We're not in the baseball business. We're not in the entertainment business. We're in the memory making business. If one of their memories is of the big guy out in the outfield with the crazy pants diving for T-shirts that are shot out of a cannon from the second level of the ballpark with a fish net, I'm all for that.
What is your favorite promotion?
I mean, you're talking 30 years times 70 games. I can't do the math because I'm a product of the North Carolina public school system, so that's a hard one to figure out. But I personally really enjoy the human cannonball. I mean, you talk about a guy putting his life on the line to do his job, and he's such a performer, and he's so dramatic about it. I really enjoy that. On a nightly basis, I used to do the I don't even know what we called it anymore, but I would get inside of a bubble and I would race. I would race other people down the foul lines in the human bubble, I guess you call
Like
it.
a hamster race.
And I was really good at that, and people really enjoyed that, and I liked it. But I also really like today. I really like doing really like catching the t-shirts with the fishnet because it allows opportunity for some flair and to make a difference in the game day presentation. So I enjoy doing that too. And there's not a whole lot I haven't liked. The most of the promotions, thank God, have worked. I still have some flashbacks on some of the ones that didn't. But for the most part, my brain has a big old jumble of thousands of promotions that were successful that I just smile about, and that's a good feeling.
And certainly fun too. We sort of keep coming back to that word fun, and this year more than most, I can remember a big sort of deal at the big league level is making the game fun. Let the kids play. But it sounds like you're having a hell of a time. What do you say about the marketing issues, I guess, at the game's highest level?
That's up to the people, right? I mean, that's up to, like I tell our staff every single day, that the front gates have to be active, and the front gates have to have a ton of smiles, and the front gates have to have high fives, and the front gates have to have passion and energy, because we're the ones that set the tone. And I think it's the same at any level, or any business. I think that the people that work there have to set the tone for what that organization is known for. So, when people say that baseball, might be more boring now, I don't know. Is it analytics? Is it the shift? What is it? I don't know. But I think that it's up to the people that run it to make sure that that they're having fun. Part of the downfall. I'm not an analytics person per se. I like the old school stories that people like Will Clark can tell you, although he's not in the room anymore. Um, but I honestly just think the answer to your questions is it's up to the people. The players have to have fun, and the players have to come to the ballpark and play like they would if they weren't making $2 million or $10 million or $20 million or $500,000, whatever it might be. And the people that work in the organizations have to be that way too.
Well, I'm glad you said that too. To me, like you said, the hours have got to be fun. I say, the 9 to 5 part you look at work, but once it's 5 and you have the rush of the game coming up, that's really got to be the fun part for the individual. And of course, you got to execute and everything, but the execution for me is the fun part. But the hours are always there, hanging over people's heads in terms of the younger generations and even just people new to the industry. If you could sort of build, though, the perfect employee in terms of work ethic and stuff like that, what do you look for in entry-level employees?
Willingness to do whatever, not to be constrained to a box of a department, a willingness to do whatever your teammates need, be a good teammate. I mean, that's why I think former athletes do so well in this minor league industry, is they know how to be a good teammate. And I have 25 other teammates in the front office of the Richmond Flying Squirrels. So being a good teammate, looking out for people, helping, pitching in a helping hand, no matter what. Not caring about the clock, never really turning it off from the standpoint of, noticing things. For example, when you're driving in your car, you drive probably by a billboard every 50 yards, 100 yards. Who's buying those billboards? Noticing stuff like that, turning on your radio and hearing who's spending money on the radio, coming back and, either acting on it yourself or telling your sales teammates, what you're hearing, what you're seeing. Somebody just wants to be here. I say this all the time to Ben Rothrock, our GM here. We want people to be here that wants to be here. To me, that's probably the answer to the question. I would want the actual organs, the organs of this body I just asked me to build to be a desire to be a part of the organization, a desire to get better every day, and a desire to make people happy, whether it's the fans or, your bosses or whatever. And I think that a lot of that can be taught, but I think so much of it is something that's either within you or with not. And then the last thing I'll say is this: a lot of times, and I'm older now, and I've been doing this a long time. Uh, but I think one of the things I've always been about has been about the work. I think it was the Philadelphia 76ers termed it the process. Uh, but I want people that are working just as hard when I'm looking at them or when I'm not looking at them as they are when I'm looking at them. And I often refer to it like with celebrities. What are they like when when the red light's not on the TV camera? How are they treating their drivers and in their cars? How are they treating the clubhouse attendants? How are they treating people that waiters and waitresses in restaurants? I mean, for employees, it's the same thing. Like if I walk back right now and I'm invisible, what's the group sales department doing? Are they making the calls that we ask them to do, or are they looking at ESPN.com? I mean, it's about what you're doing when people aren't looking at you. And my parents, who are wonderful parents, and they raised me in a really great, wonderful, caring, loving Christian home. Would always say, live your life like God's looking at you, because He is. And it's a different kind of model that I'm talking about. But always work like people are watching you, even when they're not. And I think that's something that is really, really important to me. It's always about the work, and that's what drives me to be at the ballpark 7 days a week. That's what drives me to be at the ballpark, Christmas Eve. I've always got things that I can do that can not only make me better, but make my teammates better. And even though the camera's not on, I want to be doing those things that make us all better.
Right, and so much of that is just being willing to work. It's sort of just ingrained in people.
The other thing I also say is, I think that people really have to focus on the work. Like, you don't just become a general manager of a minor league baseball team. You just don't become a major league baseball player. You just don't become, the CEO of a company. It's about doing the work to get you there. And I think so many times, people see me and they see the lifestyle that I have, and they see, the material things that I've obtained, thankfully through my life, and I'm very grateful for all those things. But they don't see often the guy that's sitting alone in the office, at 5:30 in the morning. And I don't want an award for that. But my point is, when somebody says to me as a 23-year-old, I want to be you someday, Parney, and I say, do you? Like, do you really? Like, do you want to make the sacrifices? Do you want to not be at certain things? There's some of the things that I've missed in my life that I regret now, especially related to maybe when my kids were growing up. Do people really, really, really want to make the sacrifice, or do they want to, they want the other things that, are the quote unquote star part of the job. So I really, 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 really believe that people that are going to make it, not only in this industry, but in life, are people that are about the actual work when nobody's looking.
And I'm honestly with you, but I will say this to be fair. I guess I got to play the role here. I noticed this with the interns and entry level people coming in now, and really, to be fair, this is something that they usually aren't given the opportunity to actually put the time in, to put in the time, allowed to work the hours in some budgets. In some regards, it's a different industry in terms of having to closely monitor their hours. For me, this will be my 9th season. When I interned, we didn't have to worry about that stuff, and I could stay at the ballpark and learn about the organization, really learn how to do a job.
Right.
and contribute more so than just doing whatever I have to do as fast as I can and then getting out.
Right.
Maybe every place since I've been at, you simply can't get that experience anymore. So it's really sort of a different animal in that regard.
I mean, it is, and that's okay. I've tried to really change with the times with that. Like we have a flex schedule here with the Flying Squirrels that I really truly believe in. Like I really believe that it's positive for our staff members to split the staffs and have them come in and then later. We just had some people that walked through the office here a few minutes ago that were just getting to work, and then they'll work. They worked the full game 2 nights ago. Keeping people fresh, keeping people happy is really, really important because guess what? They're going to be more productive, and they're also going to be they're going to be more successful in their career and their goals. Now, do I adhere to that? No, I mean I'm totally addicted to being here. I mean I'm very happy to say that the addiction that has been imposed on my life is one of working and being at the ballpark and being a part of a minor league baseball franchise. So there could have been a whole lot of other ones that were worse for me. But I love being here so much, and not that they don't, but I guess the reason I'm saying that is I think as you get older and you become the quote unquote veteran of the staff, you still have to have your finger on the pulse of what does matter to people. And what I've learned through the years is, especially for the younger people, time is just as valuable to them as anything. Time to be by themselves, time to be with their friends, time to just do laundry. And we've tried to adjust to that in this industry where 30 years ago, I would have been at the ballpark till 1 o'clock in the morning, and Chuck Domino was waiting at the door at 8:31. If I wasn't at the door at 8:31, he'd be ready to punch me in the face. So I just think that's one of the things that's different, and I think that as leaders, we have to be flexible and we have to figure out, what our teammates need to be more productive, and we've got to give that to them.
And we certainly appreciate your time with us today as well. One thing I did forget to ask about was in regards to the Eastern League All-Star Game in Richmond. Does every event come with a dollar donation to funding a new ballpark there, or what?
No, but another thing I should have mentioned before is we started a legacy fund for All-Star Week with our friends at Genworth, and we're raising money throughout the course of the year for Feed More, which is our local food bank, and United Way, which obviously affects a lot of different organizations and charities. And then thirdly, Richmond Flying Squirrels Charities, which we rebuild we rebuild youth league baseball fields in the inner city. But the thing that makes it different is we're also starting a scholarship program. So because we're having the Eastern League All-Star Week here in Richmond, we're able to start this scholarship fund where 3 students will be getting significant funding to continue their athletic and academic career. And we're really proud of that. And we're going to mentor those kids that win the awards. And we're going to use our platform and use our connections to make sure that their life is different because they won that award, which was all due to All-Star Week being here in Richmond.
No, they in all seriousness, they sound like great programs, and obviously we wish you the best and the best in general. But before we let you go, all of us, is there anything we left out in the meantime here? Sort of just an open floor to say whatever you want.
No, I think you did a great job. You steered it. Hopefully, I didn't ramble on too long, but it's great, and I appreciate it. And everybody out there has been minor league baseball is obviously my passion, and people are a passion of ours because that's what minor league baseball is. Minor league baseball is people, and we love every minute of every day, the good and the bad and the ugly. It's all wrapped up into a lot of laughs, a lot of smiles, and a lot of memories.
Well, with a tear in my eye, Todd Parnell, ladies and gentlemen, and we definitely appreciate it sincerely. And I couldn't think of a better start for the minor side than to have you on, Parney. Hope to have the chance to get you back here soon.
You know where I'm at, brother.
Yes, yes. The one and only Parney here on the minor side of life. As we kick off the minor side, we're going to be releasing a lot of material, so don't be a stranger. Part of this release is also a chat, of course, with Gary Green. Gary is a bit of a renaissance man around these parts. He is the principal owner of the Omaha Storm Chasers. He has interests with Parney in AA Richmond and AA Montgomery, the famous biscuits down there in Crimson Country. I'm not sure anyone's ever called it that, but either way, the man also recently bought Baseball America and not long ago helped produce a 30 for 30 called Doc and Daryl. So a lot to talk about and a real interesting conversation from an ownership perspective, if you will. Other than that, if you liked what you heard here today, or didn't for that matter, let us know. The show is at The Minor Side on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. For me, I'm Rob Sternberg, at Rob Sternberg on Twitter. Thanks for listening. And before we completely let you go, here's the great Pete Canyanis. He's a real nice guy.
This has been a presentation of The Minor Side of Life. We kindly ask for your support of this program by subscribing to the show on your preferred podcast player, joining the newsletter list at minorside.com, and following The Minor Side on social media. Plus, you can always visit theminorside.com for exclusive content and more. Thank you for listening.